Okay, what is up, people? Welcome back to another stream. Hope everyone is doing well. As always, guys, if you're enjoying the content, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel. It does really help out. And of course, make sure you do go and hit the bell whilst you're at it so you don't miss out on any uploads or streams in the future. Make sure you do check out the Elevating Traders Discord channel, completely free to join. Link to that in the top of the chat and also in the description below. You can find updates there about Elevating Traders. I share ideas there, what I'm looking at. Of course, other people do as well. If you want to chat about different setups, you can do that there as well. So if you're interested, make sure you go check it out. Completely free to join. As I said, link to that in the description and also at the top of the chat. But guys, welcome back to another stream. Forex Sniper, what is up? Welcome. CS Integrated, welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing good. As always, we'll go through the USD side of things first. Take a look at the DXY, take a look at USD majors, gold, silver, and of course, any requests, let me know, drop in the chat, and we'll get to it. But it's been an interesting start to, well, it's going to be a little bit of an interesting start. We haven't seen too much movement. DXY, wait, are we? That's not open, is it? There we go. So yeah, DXY hasn't really done much, to be honest, since we last spoke. Friday's price action was pretty flat. We had a couple of news events last week, but it doesn't really cause any damage, really. Price is just more or less in the same range. But in terms of the overall bias, as I say multiple times a stream, I'm still expecting more upside for the dollar as long as we stay outside of this range, which we've just broken through, which is this range here. As long as we stay above that, that keeps me bullish on the long term. So if we do go through a bit of a dip for the dollar, which I kind of expect at some point, I'm naturally going to be expecting that to be a high low for price to keep pushing higher. So there could be some nice downside for dollar, but the way I see it is that the market is just having a retracement for potentially more upside in the long run. I'm looking at a retest of the high here, which is 107.6, just below the 108 mark. And I'm looking for a retest of that for the high low. This was our last swing low that gave us this high. Of course, you do have some more minor ones in there, but this is the last one because it broke that high. So naturally, we're looking for a pullback of that wave. And if I whip out the Fibonacci from the low to the high, you can see it lines up more or less with the 0.5 of the fib. So if we were to get back down to this area, that would be a healthy pullback. And naturally, I'll be expecting price to bounce, see the high low, and continue back to highs. And of course, expecting something similar in Euro, Pound, and the other USD majors. But I do think there's a good possibility for some downside for dollar, for a bit of a pullback at least. You can see we are becoming a little bit corrective now. Nice momentum initially, but now we're coming a little bit more tired and not really seeing that momentum in its glory as it was maybe about 2 or 3 weeks ago. So with this corrective behavior, normally means the market is due a bigger pullback. Sometimes we could just fly, and of course maybe some news could drive that. But naturally, I'm looking for a bit of a pullback there for dollar, but I'm still looking for more upside longer term. So taking that information to euro, of course, pretty much expecting the exact opposite. This was our last high. That gave us this low, which of course cracked through this low here on the left. So again, looking for a pullback of this leg. You can see it's still pretty corrective to the downside. So it tells me a pullback to the upside is pretty likely at some point. As long as we don't break through this high, that's what keep me bearish on euro. Same thing with the dollar. We quickly scoot back over there. As long as we don't take out this high or low, I'm still pretty much bullish on USD. If we were to crash back down, take out that low, that will definitely look to change my bias. Same thing for euro. If we were to break past that high, I would change my bias and start looking for some buys. But we'll cross that bridge if it happens. For now, still looking at pullback. I'll be mentioning this area of support for a while now, looking for the retest. I was originally looking for the retest over here, but we just missed it by a few pips. Price then had a really nice swing to the downside. So again, still looking for a slightly bigger pullback for euro before continuing to the downside. So I can look for that bigger swing and potentially hold past these lows here as well. Since last week, this level of support has acted as pretty solid resistance. We did have a pretty strong rejection last week on Wednesday there. Hasn't really got going. Nice initial rejection, but looks like we've created some support on the hourly chart, and that's failed to break really. So unless that support breaks, we probably will get that bigger pullback that I'm looking for in euro. But again, still very bearish. If I expand to the higher time frames, weekly chart, still comfortably below that low. If we're to break past that, I'll be looking to change that bias around. So for now, still pretty bearish, still expecting more downside. But yeah, do expect to see a bit of a pullback. At the moment, we are losing that steam. Pound USD, same situation, really. Everything's looking very, very bearish. But again, looking for a pullback initially. If I go to the daily chart for pound USD, you can see we did have this counter trend line, which price has since gone and broken through, which is great. Well, not necessarily great, it just means more momentum in the market. And naturally, I do expect more of the same, more downside. We've ticked off this low here, we've taken out that. Now I'm expecting price to do the same with this low and eventually with this low here. Uh, Around 1.18. So I still do have more downside targets for pound. Still a lot of momentum to the downside for pounds. Euro is a bit more corrective. Pound actually had a really nice bearish leg here a couple of weeks ago. So again, looking for a pullback of that. Again, I am drawing my fib from the high here since this is the high that went and broke the low here. So if we can get a pullback to retest this area, that'd be very nice. In between the 0.5 and 0.618. Maybe we spike into the 0.618 as well, but that would be a nice area for correction. If pound is just very bearish, we might not see a pullback as big as that. So I have mentioned to keep an eye on this low as well, because should pound USD be very bearish and pound just keep up that weakness, we might only be fortunate enough to get a pullback to retest this low here. Around 1.235 and then continue back to the low. So, well, at that point, probably back to that low as well. So essentially pound USD, same thing as euro, just looking for those pullbacks to short. This time I do have a couple areas that do look good, 1.235, 1.25. I'll keep an eye on both of those areas, but it really does depend how much pullback pound wants to see. But yeah, still bearish for now. In terms of dollar CAD, we had a really prolonged consolidation. Looks like price is trying to break the high of that. I'm not quite convinced with the breakout just yet, but it looks like we're on our way. So this is the range we've had, a bit of a fake to the downside, and the fake to the downside. And as you can see, it looks like we are starting to break to the upside. So if we could see a little bit more momentum, consecutive bullish candle closes, that will show us that that momentum is sustaining. This is not another fake out, because you can see what happened with the previous fake outs. Closed below, went straight back above into the range. Couple closed below, came back into the same support, right back into the range. In this case, closed below, straight back into the range the following candle. So that kind of did happen here as well. Closed above, and then the next candle came straight back below. Now we're doing it again. Can we go and break that resistance down the lower time frames and really start to push on? Or do we just kind of roll back within the range? If that's the case, I'm not really interested with dollar CAD. I'm still very bullish on this pair. Again, I do have a couple weekly target. Well, actually one weekly target I'm looking for price to get to, which is this massive level of resistance at 1.465. As you can see, really solid resistance there once, twice again. I do think it's only a matter of time before price does go and test that level again. So I'm looking for a lot more upside for dollar CAD. But in terms of a good opportunity to trade it, we need to see some breakouts of this range. And if price can break to the upside, see some momentum above that, naturally pullbacks for a retest will look, of course, pretty appetizing. If we do see a healthy breakout with a good pullback, that could be a really nice setup. And then you got the weekly level just above us there at 1.465 to target. Or let's say if we were to break out, create a high, that could be a target as well. That'll be up to you. But yeah, just want to see a confirmed breakout, a more confident breakout of that high there before I start to talk about opportunities on the retest. But it looks like we could be heading down that route. So we'll pay close attention to that. But should we close back in the range, like I said, I'll just leave it alone, let it consolidate some more until we eventually get the breakout. Aussie dollar, another one which I'm expecting a pullback, and this one's been so bearish for a while. We've taken out some major lows on the weekly chart, so in my book, we are due a pullback most definitely. Again, whether it will happen this week or the week after or the week after that, hard to say. But I'm not really interested in shorting Aussie dollar anymore until we do see that pullback, because I know for a fact the market is very stretched. We've had a really prolonged move to the downside, which we haven't had for a while, without any kind of um, real up move. We've taken out some major lows, which we haven't taken out for a while. This one goes all the way back to 2022. So naturally expect to see at least a bounce. And then I do expect the bigger moves still to be to the downside. I'm still looking at this low here at 0.58. However, as I said, I need to see a bit of a pullback first. So jumping back to the daily chart, this is the low which I do like the look of. I'll be looking for a retest of that area around 0.638. If price can get back up there again, that'll be great. I'll monitor, see how price reacts. If I get my confirmations, more than happy to take some shorts. But at the moment of time, still looking at this as a corrective channel, really, and expecting price to eventually see a bit of a reaction to the upside. I'm not really interested in the buys as well, but yeah, I do expect to see a pullback at some point. And New Zealand dollar, similar situation there. Yeah, another descending channel. Price is still looking very, very corrective. This one hasn't taken out the daily, weekly lows yet. So this one still might have a bit of room to the downside before we go and do that. But again, I do expect to see a bit of a pullback for New Zealand dollar. Very, very stretched. You can see since basically, I think the end of September, actually, the market has actually been falling really, really hard. So I do expect to see a bit of a pullback at some point. And the area I'm looking at is a retest of this low here, which is around 0.58. I wouldn't even mind a slightly bigger pullback to this area here as well, which is 0.585. Both look really good. Both healthy areas of support on the daily time frame, which will be turned resistant. So hopefully you can see a pullback into that area, look for some lower highs, and yeah, continue the shorts to the downside. But I do want to see some upside first for New Zealand dollar. In terms of gold, so gold, I'm looking for the breakout of the range. So 27.20, I want to see price break that high. And then, of course, I'm looking for a push back to the all-time highs, which is all the way up there, 27.87, 27.90, we'll call it. I'm waiting for price to break the high, and then I'll be looking for opportunities on the retest of that, similar to dollar CAD, which we just looked at, waiting for price to break the high confidently. Then, of course, pullbacks, retest, will be the idea, as long as we can stay above that. At the moment, we've kind of rejected the high. Okay-ish. We still could reject it even better and have a bit of a sell-off here. So definitely watch out for that. Don't want to jump the gun. But at the moment, gold for me is still comfortably within this range. You got the equal highs over there, equal lows here. The market has been fluctuating between those two levels. So if we are going to get a breakout and we are going to see bullish momentum sustain for gold, we need to be breaking through these highs here, 27.20. Then we can start to discuss a breakout and a possible move back to 27.87 and probably higher as well. So that's really what I'm waiting for on gold. In terms of silver, we have some bullish structure, which I'm becoming more interested in. I did say a retest of this area I will keep an eye out for. Haven't quite got there yet, but not too far away, to be honest. Looks like we're kind of consolidating the lower time frames right now. I wouldn't be too surprised if we do have a push down to test that area and swing it back up, even if it is just a swing back to the high here. Nothing too crazy. I mean, in the long run, I do expect price to eventually get back to the highs here and probably even further as well. Yeah, that's not quite there yet. I'll be a bit optimistic to try and swing a trade from here all the way to the highs in one go. So yeah, even if it's just back to the highs, that would be great. But I am looking for a bit of a trend to form, similar to what's happened with gold a little bit. And then we can speak about some more long-term opportunities for silver. But yeah, still very bullish, still looking for buys. This looks like a decent opportunity, which we're not too far away from. So need to keep a close eye on that. But looking for a lot more upside there on silver. And yeah, that's kind of really where I'm at with USD. Still pretty bullish, but I do think a retracement is due. Um, but all in all, still looking to kind of buy dollar until proven otherwise. Of course, if things change, I will look to change with it. Matt2645, what's up? Cryptos, where it's at today? Yes, Bitcoin new all-time highs. That one just was it this morning or yeah, it was this morning. Bitcoin all-time highs. No messing around today. I think generally speaking, a lot of crypto pairs are on the up. So yeah, we'll definitely go take a look at that. We'll take a look at Bitcoin first, actually. Cease integrated the DX will have movements on the 21st, depending on what happens. Yeah, true. Not by one. Yeah, I agree. It's gonna be interesting to see what happens when Trump comes into power. Probably can expect a bit of movement, not necessarily predicting what it's going to be, but I do expect to see a bit of movement. Whether USD be bullish or bearish, I'll wait and see. Matt, pass. I think swing verification one buying Bitcoin did that. Okay, nice. Shame we couldn't hold the same trade for verification too. Yeah, that is unfortunate. But hey, you know, trading is all about taking advantage of opportunity. You know, Bitcoin, of course, has been very, very bullish this morning. And yeah, since last week, we've been flying, haven't we? Since last week Monday, price has been flying. So buying dips on Bitcoin for the past week would be very profitable. Nanad, good morning. Hope you're well. Dark Sean, good morning. Hope you're well. GJ surprised me on Friday. Good entry this morning. I got into a sell and now reversed. It happens, my man. Not every trade is going to be a whopper. I know you like your positive risk reward, so you know don't have to win every trade or even half of them. To be honest, if you do have a decent risk reward, which I'm pretty sure you do. So yeah, not every trade is going to be a bull. But we'll take a look at GJ. We'll take a look at Bitcoin first. Hopefully continue to drop. If not, stop loss is at break even. We'll look for another entry. Yeah, there's always New York session as well. What's up, Will? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing good. My weekend was good. Thank you for asking. Hope your weekend was good too. Ahmed, UJ, and Yen. Okay, we'll take a look. Let me go through Bitcoin first. So yeah, Bitcoin loving life today. New all-time highs with this one. We just did that this morning, so you can see the prior all-time highs on the left over there at 108,350. This candle this morning, the full hour, has just gone and taken it out. We did it at around 6:30, 7 a.m., something like that. But yeah, Bitcoin very bullish at the moment. As I've said, as long as price can hold this support level, I do expect price to push back to the highs. I still remain bullish on Bitcoin. And after that candle on Monday, that was a really aggressive wick to the downside, which definitely would have taken out a pool of traders underneath there with stop losses, especially people looking to jump into sells and ride momentum. They would have been caught on the wrong side as well. So that definitely flushed out a lot of participants, and now we have seen follow through from that, and price is creating new all-time highs. So the thing is with Bitcoin, we're looking very bullish right now, which is great, but I want to see how price sustains this. Do we just create new all-time highs, but then become a little bit corrective? Then at that point, you're probably going to expect to see another dip for Bitcoin. And again, the market is still bullish. We could still very much form another higher low, another higher high. But then we become very corrective. And at some point, you expect a much bigger retracement, which I think will be healthy, generally speaking. Don't necessarily expect Bitcoin just to move in straight lines to the upside forever. But if we can see some real momentum above that high here, we could see something like what we had over there happen again. Maybe with Trump coming to power, maybe that could be the catalyst for that. And we might see Bitcoin really rip. But if it is corrective, it probably does mean that Bitcoin is overall tiring in this bull run, and we could be looking at a deeper correction at some point. And looking at areas back down here, at least 73, 74K. But as of now, still very bullish. Of course, creating all-time highs. Nothing really to do unless you're on the lower time frames, kind of aggressively buying intraday. Now we're coming back into the highs. Now it's kind of just let's see how price reacts. Do we keep up momentum or do we start becoming corrective? Taking a look at Ethereum as well. This one, of course, is nowhere near all-time highs, but bullish on the day at least. Not even breaking the highs there of last week here. Those are still perfectly intact. Or these are the highs from last week. Uh, no, the highs. Yeah, those are the highs from last week. So we haven't even broke the highs there yet. I mean, we could still do that. The day is still pretty young, but yeah, Ethereum is nowhere near as bullish as Bitcoin right now. And to be honest, I don't really like the chart of Ethereum. It looks very, very corrective. I mean, overall, I would kind of look at this as a massive range, really, and just treat this as a really kind of weird fake out of the market. Really strong break to the downside, a load of consolidation, strong break back up. It's kind of like a weird V-shaped pattern, because in the V-shaped pattern, you have an impulse down, impulse up, except this time you had an impulse down, consolidation, and then an impulse back up. So it's just a very kind of prolonged V-shaped pattern, if you will. So that's kind of the way I'm looking at Ethereum right now, because we've got equal highs there doing pretty well, equal lows there doing pretty well, and the market's just very corrective inside of this. So Ethereum price action isn't great whatsoever. Yeah, Bitcoin looks a lot cleaner. I mean, Bitcoin has been ranging, but at least we can kind of spot a clear trend there. And Litecoin is just flying. Oh, that had a really big reaction there. Yeah, last week I was looking for a lower high there, but never happened. Price rallied to the upside very aggressively, but pretty strong reaction to the downside there again. But yeah, I'm not really liking the price action either. It's looking quite corrective at the high. But yeah, Bitcoin's definitely where it's at. Very, very strong. And let's see what we can do at the highs. Do we continue or do we become a little bit more corrective? Anyway, let me go through GJ. Also in the shorts, but I'll enter 161.8. Okay, which one's that for? Is that for Euro Yen as well? Okay, Euro Yen. Okay, let me go through GJ in the 5 minute, then we'll take a look at Euro Yen. Okay, pound yen on the 5 minutes. So you said you got into some shorts, dark Sean, but it's retracing against you. Okay, you sold at 8.30, now reversed. Okay, so somewhere in here you got the sell, now it's come back. Yeah, looks like that momentum kind of just dried up a little bit. Yeah, it could be in a situation where we're forming another high low in comparison to these lows here, and that could be the next one. Maybe for a push like that. Um, that could be the situation, but you said you got your stop loss to break even. So worst case scenario, you do walk away with a break even, then yeah, you look to see what happens later in the day, because I know you trade New York session as well. So they might set up better during the New York session. But yeah, I'd watch out for these high lows, because it looks like the market might be respecting them, and we might push back to the high there if that trend is going to continue. But on the high time frames for pound yen, still pretty bearish. I am looking for price to get back to the low down here at 188.5. I'm not really as interested with pound yen as I am with euro yen, as I am with Swiss yen. Those look really, really good. Those are kind of my two favorite yen pairs this week to trade. It looks like euro yen's actually seeing a bit of a pullback as well. So hopefully entries are not too far away actually for that pair. But yeah, pound yen. I said I was looking for the retest of this level of support. I said that last week. We didn't quite see the retracement there. Unfortunately, we saw a high form here before price did continue and took out those lows there. So unfortunately missed that. But if price was to make that bigger move, go and test that same area again, I'll be more than happy to go and short pound yen from that area if we were to go get there. But the way I see pound yen right now is that we're probably looking at more intraday setups as probably the better play, especially with risk reward, because we've got this low right underneath us. I like this area here, brief pause in the market, and this is the high that took out these lows. So we could see price push into that area before continuing. and get the move back into the lows there. So if you're on the lower time frames, I'll suggest wait to see what we can do in this area around 199.5, 192. I think that could be a prime place for another low high to form and another drop back to the lows, or at least back to the low there as well. So yeah, pound yen to me still looking very bearish, expecting more downside. However, we might be going for a bit of a pullback, and if we go for a big one, I'll be ready and waiting around 194.5 too short. But I think more realistically, probably see a retest of that area, then push on. So again, could be some nice trades in the hourly, 30-minute, 15-minute from that zone. So I would keep an eye on that. But yeah, still very bearish on pound yen. Higher time frames, still very bearish for me as well. Still looking at the continuation of this bearish leg. That's our correction, or at least I'm expecting it to be. And I'm looking for something like that in the long run. That's our kind of bear flag pattern, impulse, correction, impulse. So I still see a lot more downside for pound yen, but I've got to stay patient. As I said, reaching some strong support down there. Might see a bit of a pullback into 199.5. So I'd keep an eye on that for some sells. And if not, if we were to get a slightly bigger pullback, then 194, 194.5 looks really good as well. But yeah, very bearish on pound yen, just looking to continue the momentum. I do still see a lot more downside for that one. Only 0.5% away from passing, then a casual 6% trade to seal the deal. Yeah, that's the beauty of Bitcoin. You're going to get those kind of volatile moves, which are a little bit more harder to come by on FX and even indices as well. Bitcoin will give you, or crypto in general will give you, a much faster return on your moves for any given time. Really, of course, they do consolidate sometimes, but on average, they will give you a much faster return. But yeah, didn't necessarily need the 6% this time. Okay, so yeah, Euro Yen, like I said, is my favorite pair at the moment. Euro Yen and Swiss Yen in terms of the shorts, we're seeing some nice upside. Again, just looking for another lower high for a continuation of this bearish structure. Market's been pretty consistent with the lower highs. You have one over there, formed a lovely low, second lower high, second lower low, third lower high, third lower low, and again looking for the fourth one for that continuation. As long as we keep up this bearish structure, I do still see more downside. If price was to go and break through the high here, that would put that bearish bias to bed pretty quickly, and then I'll look to reanalyze and see where we can go from there. But similar to pound yen, what I'm looking at is a massive bull flag correction, bear flag correction, sorry. There's your impulse, correction, and then looking for continuation. And this, of course, is your flag pattern there. So very, very bearish on Euro Yen. Of course, you do have the head and shoulder pattern as well, which looks to be playing out pretty well. My plan is just, can I find that lower high? I'm drawing the fib from the high to the low. I do like this area around 0.5, 0.618. And I'm pretty sure we do have some nice trend line confluence as well, connecting the high to the low. This is the area I'm looking at for a short. So if you could see price spike a little bit higher, test this 161.5 area. If I see a nice rejection in the 4-hour chart, I look to trade at least back to the lows here, and then I'll leave positions to run to see if I can stretch it all the way back down to this low here at 156.5, and of course potentially further as well. So that is the plan. And the reason why I like Euro Yen a little bit more than pound yen is because the structure is a little bit tidier with the lower lows and lower highs, and there's a lot more room to take advantage of if we do get that short, because the swing low for Euro Yen is all the way down there, whereas if I go to pound yen, it's literally just underneath us right now. So unless I get a pullback all the way up here, yes, I've got some good distance to move into, so my risk reward will be a lot healthier. But at the moment, current price action is not too far away from that low. So in terms of maximizing my gains, Euro Yen makes a load more sense. So wait and see if I can get a bit of a pullback there. The pullback is happening right now for Euro Yen. So just need to see evidence of price respecting this region. Bearish engulfing candles, wicks, shift momentum. That's what I'll be looking for. Then if I do get my signal, I'll at least trade it back into the low here, and then hopefully we can leave some positions to run back into the 156.5 area as well. But yeah, really bearish on Euro Yen too. Will, you said you're looking for entries at 161.8. So you're looking more or less around this area, which is more or less where I'm looking at, just slightly above it. But yeah, I'm looking for shorts in that region as well. If I can see any type of rejection, any good rejection, any type of rejection, any good rejection that fits the plan well, kind of in this area here, that's what I'll be looking to short from. And of course, look to take it back into the prior low. So pretty much on the same page there as you will. Darkshon, not to buy, so GJ will continue up for sure. Okay. Yeah, it might retrace a little bit. It's looking a little bit tired anyway, GJ. It is looking a little bit tired. You can see price is kind of consolidating a little bit, looking fairly corrective at that low, especially after taking an outer low there on the left. You can see price is looking a little bit tired, so maybe a pullback is on the cards now for pound yen. I'm still very bearish. We're still putting low lows and low highs, so that is still a fact for sure. But it might be in that phase where we need to retrace, see a bit of a pullback before we do continue in that bearish structure. So yeah, probably watch out for that. At least up to 190.9. 190.9, so that's around this area here. Yeah, potentially I'm looking at this kind of overall structure there, because that's kind of where we consolidated for a few hours before that drop. So yeah, more or less anywhere in there, I do think a lower high could form. So yeah, I do agree with that one as well. Anyway, we'll probably just go through the yen pairs all together, and just go through them, take a look at the yen basket as well. So yeah, with the yen pairs, I'm still pretty bearish. I'm still looking for a lot more downside with them. As I said, Euro Yen is my favorite, alongside CHF JPY as well. I'm really liking the price action with these two, because you can see the comparison between them. They look pretty much the same. Clear lower highs and lower lows. We had a double top over there. Price broke structure, lower low, lower high, another lower low, lower high, and again another lower low. So the plan for me for Swiss yen as well is to find that next lower high, and again keep shorting it. I like that trend line area there as well. If I whip out the fib from the high to the low, I like this area on the 15 and 0.618, which lines up pretty well with that trend line. So price can push up there, maybe even stab back into that low then the left as well. Adds some nice confidence to it. Are we looking for price to turn around in this area? And of course, swings back into the low, but hopefully we can take it back into this area here as well, similar to Euro Yen in that regard. So yeah, really nice bearish structure. Again, with Swiss Yen long term, I do still see a massive move to the downside for one reason only, is because we're trading at all-time highs right now for Swiss Yen. That is definitely something not to forget about, especially if you're looking for a swing. A big swing. This is a market which I think could be really interesting to trade in 2025. We've taken out major highs here, and we definitely drew a pullback. We've had a really prolonged move to the upside, so the market is pretty much overextended. We're at all-time highs. Last time we were trading at these prices was back in 1979, and as you can see, we are looking fairly corrective now. It's not like the trend is still healthy. It's looking fairly corrective. So, three major signs there that Swiss yen is due and move to the downside. Don't get me wrong, the move, still might continue to higher prices. That we could still see a bullish trend continue, but at least a bit of a pullback. And even if it is just that big, that would give you a lot of pips, a lot of opportunities to short Swiss yen. And again, when the yen pairs do move to the downside, they do normally move quite heavily as well with a lot of momentum. So the shorts most of the time are definitely worth it. So yeah, with Swiss yen, I do expect to see more downside. Of course, I'm not necessarily looking for a move that big with my trade. I'm just looking for, a piece of the pie back into that low and hopefully back into that low. But as someone who's looking to trail stops, I don't know. Maybe I could be onto a massive winner with a trade that just keeps pushing in my direction. So just want to make sure I situate myself in those trades and those opportunities where price could keep going. And this is definitely one of them. So yes, CHF looking for a pullback. Hopefully you can get a retest of around the 170, 800 area, 172. That's more or less where I'm looking for my entries. And if everything goes well, hopefully we'll be back at 168.5 at some point in time. So yeah, very bearish on CHF dollar yen, funny enough, I'm still pretty bullish on as well. Price action still looks really bullish here for Swiss for dollar yen. Haven't really had any shift in market structure, and in my book, it still looks like price could probably still push back to the high here at 162. If I go to the weekly chart, we've had a really nice break and retest of some major resistance, which is this high over there. You can see rejected price really well once, twice, and now a third time, this time as support. So I do think price has got a pretty good chance of making it back to the high. I think USD strength has a lot to play with dollar yen's pricing, because if yen's going to be strong, you'll see the yen pairs fall. But if dollar is just going to be stronger, then of course dollar yen can still rise with other yen pairs falling, although it might be a little bit unlikely. But if USD is just very strong this year, which it could be, then that might drag us still to the upside. So the opportunity I'm looking at for dollar yen is still the retest of the same region. I like this area here. Nice brief consolidation. Price flew to the upside, still yet to come back and retest that area. So it's still fresh. And if we were to get a bounce from that area, there's a likely chance we do bounce from there. If we were to get another retest, the price is going to bounce. Of course, whether it will bounce all the way back to the high and that high, that's a different question. But I do think there's a good chance of a reaction. Just need to wait for good confirmation. So yeah, for dollar yen, still looking at upside. Another USD pair after all. I'm very bullish on USD as of right now. I'm looking to at least swing it back to the high here, which is at 158.5. And if everything does run smoothly, hopefully you can leave some positions to run all the way back to 162. But that really is my area of interest. So yeah, with dollar yen, funny enough, it's the only yen pair which I'm actually bullish and actively looking to buy. Whereas Swiss yen, Euro yen still looks really good to me for the shorts. CAD yen I do like as well, just not as much as Swiss yen or Euro yen, just because the structure is a little bit cleaner. But also this does have a nice opportunity as well, which is the break and retest of this support level. As you can see, price held support very, very well. This pretty much is just a big range for CAD yen, and last week we finally broke out of that range to the downside. So as long as we don't break back inside the range, as long as we don't do something like that, I'm expecting price to spill over and continue back to the lows here, which is back at 106. If I go to the higher time frames really quickly, you can see that overall there is some type of head and shoulder pattern here: left head, right shoulder. Maybe it's not the cleanest one, and of course that's your neckline there as well, but it does kind of fit the idea of price looking to continue but failing to do so, putting in a lower high. Of course, not confirmed yet, but it looks to be. And if we can break the lows, then I do expect price to really sell off. But the fact is, we're holding on to resistance pretty well. If I take this across, you can see another massive rejection of that area. So very bearish on CAD yen. And of course, we still got that bear flag pattern at play. Impulse, correction, expecting another impulse to the downside. So of course, this is your flag pattern there. So yeah, very bearish on CAD yen. And then since we got the breakout of the range last week, it has left behind a really nice area for a retest for some sells and a push back into that low there, which is 105.892. So yeah, very bearish on CAD yen, expecting a lot more downside. As I said, Swiss yen and Euro yen looks a little bit better, structured a little bit cleaner, so that's where my focus lies. But I do expect similar price action from CAD. I do expect similar price action from pound as well. The ones that look a little bit more confusing or not as clean is definitely Aussie yen and New Zealand yen. Not a big fan of these guys. In fact, not really just interested at all in terms of trading them. These guys are a lot more corrective. Aussie yen pretty much is ranging in my book. Just looking at that as a flat out range, really, and also looking at this as a flat out range. So he broke out one range just to go into another, really, which isn't great. Isn't great at all. So yeah, not really attracted with the price action here. I'm not really seeing clear lower lows or lower highs form. So in my book, I'm kind of staying away. I know we are starting to form some lower lows and lower highs here, but because it's within a range, I'm not going to look too much into that. The probability of market structure playing out well in signed ranges is just very, very low. You're going to see a lot of indecision, a lot of fluctuation, a lot of chaos. Just not the best time to be looking at highs and lows uh, within the range. Of course, the top and bottom is fine. But yeah, not really interested in price action. But as I said, I'm still bearish on Aussie yen. I still think eventually we'll get a really big move to the downside, back into the lows here. So I have a bias for Aussie yen due to high time frame price action, but I don't have an opportunity to execute on that bias just yet. So yeah, I'll let you guys know when I do have a setup for it, but nothing really. I mean, if price was to break to the downside aggressively, maybe similar to what we did over there, another strong break, then yeah, I will be looking at pullbacks of that to ride it back into the lows. So yeah, that would be a setup I'll be interested in, but still a long way to go before that does really develop. And New Zealand yen, pretty much the same thing as well. As you can see, consolidation there too. So not really looking in too much detail with the candlesticks inside this range. I know we are bouncing off the low right now, so technically this is actually a decent buy. If you're looking to play the range, you can look to target back at the high. And if I mark the 50% of the level, 50 is always a great place in terms of range play to look to bank profits or even just call it a day, really. There's always a really high probability of price bouncing from the low or the high of the range back to the 50% level. And that's a great place to look to bank partials. But yeah, with Aussie yen and New Zealand yen, they're both ranging. If you're looking to buy low, sell high, not bad conditions for it. If you're looking for a trend, really bad conditions for it. But again, hopefully we can break out at some point, see a strong move to the downside, break the lows, and then of course we can talk about some pullback shortly afterwards and ride it into the lows and hopefully a lot further as well. But very bearish in Aussie yen. I still do see a lot more downside for these markets. So all in all, very bearish in the yen pairs, apart from dollar yen, euro yen, and Swiss yen look the best to me. So that's kind of where my focus lies. In terms of the JPY basket, what's happened with this one? Okay, not much has happened. Last time I spoke about this one, I think we were trading around here. So a bit of upside, just took out the highs there just about, but didn't really do it too confidently. I was talking about the retest of this area for another higher low to form, which looks like price maybe on its way towards. Lovely bearish, bullish structure, sorry, lovely bullish structure. You had the equal bottoms here. Test it once, test it twice, broke structure to the upside, higher high, higher low, higher high. Actually formed over here now. Now we're looking at the next higher low, and this looks like a prime place for it to form, retesting prior resistance, which of course will be turned support. Got some trendline confluence there, connecting the dots, and I'm pretty sure will be a healthy reaction on a fib level, maybe the 0.618. So yeah, to me the JPY basket looks like it's slowly trying to push to the upside. And I do like the structure I am seeing. And yeah, if the JPY basket is going to push to the upside, that will drag the yen pairs to the downside. So really it's about, okay, can this trend on the yen basket sustain and keep going? If it does, then you're going to see pound yen fall, euro yen fall, Swiss yen fall, pretty much every yen pair fall. We'll see what happens with USD, USD JPY, but all the rest I would be expecting downside. So yeah, really that's their area of focus, which lines up really well with what I'm looking to do with euro yen. If we were to see a pullback like that on the yen basket, we'll probably see the pullback in euro yen, which of course is underway already, and see CHIP JPY see a pullback like that happen as well. Retest some structure, and off we go. So yeah, very bearish on those yen pairs. If I have a quick look at the index as well, are we holding on to support? Yeah, just about. We are just about holding on to support. I feel like once we break out of this range here, then we'll probably see the real move happen for the yen. At the moment, price is consolidating. This is when we almost had the breakout. I was talking about some break and retest to the high, and that never happened. Of course, I mentioned the break and retest to the low here, back into that support. That hasn't happened yet. So at the moment, the index is just fluctuating between support and resistance. So until this one kind of picks its direction, whether it does want to break the high first or wants to break the low, then we'll probably understand where the yen's probably going to move into. But I have to say, this resistance has held very, very well. I wonder is price just forming a lower high in reference to this high over there for potentially a big move to the downside. Possibly. But at the moment, still in a range, so I'm not going to judge the price action in the middle of that too much. Not looking too good. So yeah, that's kind of really where I'm at with the yen pairs. Then add buy limit order on oils active 76. Okay, I'll have a look at that for you. US oil. So you said you're in a long position. 78 76, sorry, 836. This is not the one I'm gonna look at. Okay, there we go. So yeah, oil had a pretty bearish reaction. From that area because I said for oil I'll be looking for downside, which is the retest of this trend line alongside with the retest of this high. But price did break through that. So to me, that was a very bullish signal because if we are going to form a lower high, I would expect price to react at that area, which it looks like we're kind of doing, but we did break above. So yeah, at the time, things were looking very, very bullish. But of course, the past day or couple days, it looks like price is trying to get back underneath, and maybe this just forms a big fake out. I want price to be comfortably trading below that before I do suggest that. Yeah, I would still see what we can do in terms of the next 24 hours because if we are going to be breaking back below, that would make me bearish again with oil. You said you got a buy from 76,836. So that's around there somewhere. Not a bad place for a buy because the price is going to hold that area and use it as confidence to continue to the upside. You expect price to turn around from there. Where's your stop loss in the for that position? I want to see how much room you've got to work with there, whether you're looking for price to kind of turn on a dime or you've got a pretty loose stop loss and you're kind of looking for price to turn around because that will kind of make or break the position. But in terms of an area to buy, I think it's a decent area because you're looking for price to retest structure. But as I said, if price does close, let's say if today's candle was to close back below that area of confluence, that would make me pretty bearish on oil going forward. And I'll look at this as a big fake out of that high of that trend line, and then I'll be looking at a lot more downside. 76.327. Okay, around there. Okay, so you got a little bit of room, nothing crazy, but again, you don't want to have a crazy big stop loss anyway, because that means your risk reward is going to be very skewed, although you probably win a few more trades, but in the long run, it might not be worth it in terms of your RR. Yeah, it's a nice stop loss, fairly tight. I assume your target's maybe either back at the high here or maybe at the bottom of the gap. You're probably looking for that gap to fill. So yeah, you're probably either targeting the low there or the high, or maybe the top of the gap for the fill. But more or less, the risk reward looks pretty good for that trade. And the location, I like it as well because you're kind of coming back on the retest of those areas of support. So of course, if price doesn't hold that, we were to see price push back down, then yeah, price is probably not going to hold that support level anyway. So you want to be out of that trade. And if we do have a successful close on the daily chart below that level, then yeah, I do think we'll probably see a big drop to the downside for oil. Sometimes it will, but sometimes I have to monitor it in real time. Yeah, of course. I mean, with every position, really. I never really used limit orders, stop orders. Never really used that in my trading. I've always used market execution. When I do see a trade, that's the time for me to take it, and that's always just been how I've traded since the beginning. Really, I don't really have much experience with limit orders or stop orders. I haven't really experimented with them either. So market execution is really the only way I know how to enter the market well. Maybe in the future I might learn limit orders and see how that goes. But I like having that kind of power of taking the trade when I actually see the trade, rather than having an area and then just waiting for price to tap into it, because things can change. By the time I put the order on to the time price actually gets there, I don't know, maybe the market starts melting out the sky, and then it just, completely eradicates my trade. So, of course, there's pros and cons of everything. There's pros with the limit orders because it means you get better entries. If you wait for your price to start going in your favor and you use market execution, then you probably won't get as good of the entry. So there's cons for that as well. Um, but yeah, I don't really use limit orders or stop orders. But yeah, if oil does close back below that area of confluence, I would be very bearish. Look at that as a bit of a fake out. That to me would be the next lower high, or at least anticipate it to be the next lower high in this sequence. And at that point, looking for a push right back to the lows here. So that is what I'll be looking at next. Yeah, I mean, again, there's more than one way to trade the market. There's no really wrong or right way to trade, because yeah, traders who do very, very well with buy stops, sell stops, limit orders. There's traders that do work really well with that. There's traders who do well when they kind of dollar cost average and kind of take a few trades, mark out a bunch of different areas in the market and add a little bit here, add a little bit there, take off a little bit here. So there's more than one way to trade, and there is no right or wrong way. The only right way is being profitable, really. Whatever you do, as long as it results in a profit, then who is anyone to judge? Um, so that's the only thing really at the end of the day. But whether you do that using stops, or whether you're doing that using market execution, that's completely up to the trader. And of course, whether it feels comfortable, whether it feels, um, and also whatever it kind of meets your criteria situation, because some people have other commitments. If you're at work, you might be only be able to in the morning put your orders on, go throughout your day, working, and then you can only check your trades much later in the day. You probably don't have the time to actually sit on the chart and execute your trades manually, because you might not have the time. So maybe limit orders or stop orders are probably better for you. So you have to weigh that in as well. Noradine, what is up? Euro USD, okay, I will have a look at that for you. As I said, very bearish in Euro USD, still expecting more downside, but I think this one is due a bit of a pullback, to be fair. And you can see we're coming quite corrective now. This is not the sign of a healthy trending market anymore. It has been, but not anymore. We're becoming very corrective, seeing really strong moves to the upside as well. So I do expect to see Euro USD go through a bit of a pullback. In terms of the areas I'm looking at, I like this low here, really nice support, resting with that 0.618 confluence as well. So naturally, that's kind of really where I'm looking for a short for Euro USD to see if I can take it back into the low. You can see we had the high over there, which created new lows, taking out this low here on the left, and I'm looking for a pullback of that bearish leg. And that's really where my confluence lies. We have broken out of some really strong support on the higher time frames, and my kind of thinking is, as long as we can stay below that area, 1.046, that keeps me pretty bearish with Euro USD. And of course, if price was to break back to the upside, that will keep me bullish or make me bullish. And yeah, are we looking at buys for Euro USD? But of course, we need to be above that level of support first. But for now, it's still, of course, comfortably below, so still pretty bearish. And yeah, looking for more downside for Euro USD. I'll go through some indices whilst on the topic of USD pairs. No problem, Ninad. Happy to help, my man. Happy to help. Hopefully that trade does go in your favor. So yeah, we'll go through some indices. But if you guys are enjoying the stream, by the way, please be sure to smash the like button. It does really help out. It does really help get the content to more people. And of course, subscribe to the channel as well. And that, of course, does really help out too. So if you guys are enjoying the streams, finding it useful, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel. And of course, make sure you do go and hit the bell as well, so you don't miss out any streams or uploads in the future. But yeah, appreciate everyone who has liked and subscribed. GBP buy. Do you mean pound USD buy? Forex Sniper, pound USD buy. I'm not really looking to buy pound USD, although I do think we can see upside because I think it's due a retracement. It's been bearish for quite a while, so I do think pound USD is due some upside, but not necessarily looking to buy. I'm also kind of waiting for that upside to happen so I can keep selling it. But I'll go through pound USD for you. Trev, what is up? Hope you're well. Morning. Looking to short dollar yen. I'm pretty bullish on dollar yen. I'm looking for some buys further down, but there might be sells to take advantage on the way down. So I'll take a look at that in a second. Let me just quickly go through pound USD. So yeah, pound USD, as I said, I am not looking to buy, but I do think we are due some upside purely for retracement. The market has been incredibly bearish for quite a while, breaking through low after low after low. And we've also broken through this ascending channel here. Well, ascending trend line, but yeah, technically ascending channel as well. If you kind of just draw the top one, you've got a channel. So yeah, we've broken out that ascending trend line there. We've taken out this low here as well. So the next stop for me for pound will be this low here around 1.20380. So that's what I'm expecting pound USD to go and take out next. But before that, I do think we're due a bit of a pullback. We had a very, very bearish week last week, week before that, with all that pound weakness, and we kind of fell to the downside very aggressively. So I do think the market is due a bit of a pullback just to balance things out before we do continue. You can see at the moment price is consolidating here on the hourly chart, so we are looking a little bit tired anyway. And I've got a couple of areas which I do like the look of. The retest of this zone here at 1.235, or should we have a bigger pullback? I like this area here at 1.25. Either which way, I do expect to see some upside for pounds before we see some more downside. But as I said, it's not necessarily an opportunity I'm looking to trade myself, but I do think pound USD can keep falling. So keeping a close eye on those two areas, and naturally expecting price to keep falling. And these are my targets for pound on the daily chart. So as long as we keep that bearish structure, I do stay very bearish. In terms of no problem, Forex Sniper, much love. We'll take a look at dollar yen. So as I said, for dollar yen, I'm actually looking for buys for this one, but I'm waiting for price to come a little bit further down before I do look for buys. I think you're probably looking at some sells before that happens. So at the moment, price did kind of have a break of structure here in terms of breaking out of this ascending structure. As we can see, the market was very fatigued, pushing to the upside. We finally broke that to the downside. And I do think in terms of the longer run, the market does have, this bullish structure, which is essentially what I'm looking to follow. We had a low here, higher low here, and all I'm looking to do is trying to find the next one. In terms of the sells, there could, of course, be some really nice sells on the way down. Maybe the market pulls back, retests some structure, and has a nice push to the downside, and that's the move you're looking to take advantage of. If that's the case, that makes a load of sense. Where is the area you mentioned? 155.97. You're waiting for price to get there to sell? Or is that your target for your sell? So you're selling from current price and you're looking to target that low, or you're waiting for price to get there, then sell, maybe like a break of a counter trend line or something like that? Oh, okay. So you're waiting for price to get there, then you're going to sell. Okay. Um, so yeah, in that case, I'll probably look at this way in terms of, okay, if this is a pullback, then I'd probably wait for price to start breaking the low there first before I would look to sell. Of course, that's just basically how I would look at it. I'm sure you got your own reasons of why you look to take that trade. But yeah, in terms of dollar yen, I would expect more downside anyway because I'm looking to buy down there. Um, I would say keep an eye on this area here too. I'm not too sure what time frame you're trading on, but it looks like it's pretty lower down. But I think that's also an interesting area for a short because we have formed this high here, a second high there, could form a third one there before pushing down. So that could be a nice area to anticipate in the lower high forming. But yeah, I'm looking for some buys for dollar yen down at those areas. But of course, if we were to get there, we have to actually kind of sell off first. So I do think there could be some nice sells for dollar yen. But I'm looking at the bigger move being to the upside. Himanshu, okay, I'll go through Euro NZD. So yeah, let me know what you're looking at for Euro NZD and let me know what time frame as well, so I can be a bit more specific for you. Okay, no problem. Trev Beats, happy to help, my man. So yeah, with Euro NZD, this is just the textbook range, really. That's the kind of the way I'm looking at this market. We've got equal highs up there, and we've got equal lows down there. So you can see the market is doing a really good job at respecting the highs, doing a really good job at respecting the lows, and we're just fluctuating between both of these levels. So until the price makes a committed move above these levels, I'm not really interested. I know it's a pretty big range, and I know, if you were to short, let's say up here and capture a big move back to the low of the range, very, very simple kind of trade idea, just looking to short high, buy low, trade the range, but could be very, very rewarding in terms of the risk reward. If you can refine your risk pretty well and you do capitalize on a massive swing to the low, could be looking at a very high risk reward. But of course, this is a very much a very long term swing trade that could take 2-3 months to play out. So keep that into consideration. But yeah, we're trading at a massive level of resistance. We've seen price respect it on two occasions. Oh, didn't mean to do that. On two occasions, one over there, um, one over there, second over there. Of course, we're now testing this area for a third time. So if price is going to hold this level, there could be a lot of downside. At the moment in time, it looks like that is still what price is trying to do. It looks like we're kind of consolidating on the low time frames as well, but I do expect us to see some downside, maybe in the form of a big double top. So price was to rush again to the upside, retest the high. That could be a nice place to short. You can keep your risk pretty small, stop loss above the high there. And again, you could be looking to trade it back into the low here, back in some areas down there. There's a lot of room to trade into. And of course, if things were to go wrong and price was to break out, your risk is pretty small in comparison to your reward there. So you can keep things pretty manageable there with your NZD. But yeah, I'll be pretty bearish with this one. If you're looking to buy, then as I said, I want to see a confident break above this resistance level. That tells me, okay, we're seeing a breakout, and then we can probably look to go and target this wick here. Because if we do see a breakout of this level, that becomes the next area of interest, the wick high at 1.865. So there are targets to the upside should we see them. But nothing quite there yet. Maybe we would see a strong break to the upside and then a pullback and a retest of this area. That could be the buy that you do look for if you are bullish. But haven't got that yet. Price is still doing an okay job, I suppose, of rejecting that level as resistance. But yeah, if it is successful with that, there's a long way to go, in my opinion, to the downside there for your entity. So keep an eye on that level. But yeah, the way I see it, USD is ranging. See if we're going to break out or not. And at the moment in time, we're doing a pretty good job, pretty good job to respect that level of resistance. So I do think we can see some downside, but not really a pair I'm looking to trade. Way too flat. Speaking of Euro entity, let me go through Euro Aussie as well, which I'm pretty sure isn't looking too great either. Yeah, not liking this one either. It's a similar situation. We got highs over there and we've got lows here, and the market is bouncing between the two. There is a little bit of a resistance here, which looks like price is kind of respected, okay, around 1.67. So that could be a level which does send us back down, again. But in terms of getting the best area possible, it would be waiting for price to push back to the high here at 1.7, because you're right at the top of the range. Should things play out, again, you're maximizing your reward there. Should it play out back down to the low? But in fairness, this has been a pretty good level of resistance. It's respected price pretty well. Price is respected pretty well. And we've seen another rejection there again. So you could suggest two areas to short from. One attempt at this first level. If it does hold, great, you're onto a winner. If it doesn't hold, take a loss, push it into the next level, see what happens. Maybe that's the winner. And of course, that if that does become successful, that will definitely make up for the loss plus a lot more. So you can look at two opportunities there to try and call some tops there for Euro Aussie as well. Again, if you're looking for trending opportunities, this is not the market you should be looking at least not on the full hour, not on the daily chart, because they're not trending, and definitely not on the intraday time frames, because they're definitely not trending there either. So if you're looking for trending environments, if you've got a trend friendly strategy or something that looks to take advantage of momentum, now is not the time to be looking to trade these current markets, because they're just not optimal at all. Doesn't mean you can't find a winning trade from somewhere. You will, but even a broken clock is right twice a day. So just because you can maybe find some type of winning trade doesn't mean the conditions are worthwhile. So again, with Euro Aussie, nice place to short and keep the risk minimal. And if price should see a slightly bigger breakout than that, you've got the level up here to trade from at 1.075, which looks pretty good as well. And yeah. And the real reason why it looks pretty good is that if it plays out, you're looking at a very big risk reward opportunity there. Should it get back down to the low, so keep a close eye on that as well. Forex Sniper, leverage 1 to 100 minimum profit cap remove, please. Well, the profit cap does remove after a certain period once you are funded, because we're looking to reward our traders for their profitability and their consistency. So the profit cap does remove once you're funded and you'll be trading for at least 3 months with full payouts. Then you are rewarded with that. But the leverage doesn't need to be 100. Lots of firms are giving very high leverage, which makes no sense, really. You don't need all that leverage to trade on the account size you're trading. Keep the leverage minimal, lose less, and focus on profitability. So we're not really looking to try and favor people who are trying to buy challenges and just pass it quickly with a massive amount of lots on gold, and just take advantage of high leverage and take advantage of the firm. Really, we're looking for traders who are looking for consistency and slow growth, and we've designed the challenges for that purpose. So of course there may be things which you don't like there, but they're there for a reason, and we will look to reward our traders for their consistency once they show that as well. So there will be flexibility in the long run. Manzondi, what is up? Hope you're doing good. Hope you will have a successful week. Right back at you, my man. 100%. I said I was going to go through the indices earlier, completely forgot. So let me go through them now, and then I'll go through some CAD pairs, some crosses as well. And we'll take a look at some CHF pairs too. So yeah, the indices were pretty bullish. The indices were pretty bullish. NAS 100s, it looks like we're trying to break out of these lower highs. I mean, we haven't quite done that yet. We've broken the trend line technically, but we haven't broken through the high. Because well, we haven't taken out the structure yet, so we haven't broken through the high, but we have broken through the trend line. So that's the first sign that says, okay, NAS 100 could be looking to push back to the all-time highs again, because the only thing that was worrying me or scaring me about NAS 100 in terms of the buys anyway was these low highs price was creating. One over there, second over there, third over there. And at one point, looked like we're going to form a fourth and another push back down to the lows. But since what, Thursday, Friday more so, price has found some support and it looks like it's breaking through the trend line pretty well. Now, again, trend lines are great, but they're only one side of the story. You can see many occasions where price does break through a trend line just to push a little bit higher or a little bit lower before then melting. Because the main thing you should be focused on is the high, because that's what keeps us bearish or keeps us bullish. In this case, is what keeps us bearish. So as long as those lower highs, are intact, technically speaking, we could form a lower high within this area here somewhere and still drop to the downside. The trend line is a sign that says, okay, the probability of a lower high forming has decreased and we could be looking at a breakout. But until price actually does break the high, don't want to get too carried away because that lower high could still form and we could still push down. But should we see price go and take out the high, then yeah, I think we have a very high chance of price pushing all the way back to the highs in that case, which would be at 22,100. So that's really what I'm looking at for US 100. Expecting a lot more upside of that regard, but I do need to see price take out the high first. What's up, Lauda? Hope you're well. Welcome to the stream. I do want to see price take out the high first and then look for the pullback shortly afterwards. Then yeah, I'll be favoring NAS to push back to the highs. In terms of S&P, I believe we have done something similar. Okay, so this one almost has taken out the highs there. If I drag that across, you can see very, very close to doing that. Last week, very, very bullish though to end the week off, but as you can see, breaking through this trend line here as well. So doing the same situation with NAS, breaking the trend line, great sign that says, okay, the probability of us seeing a lower high has now decreased. However, it hasn't been eradicated just yet. We need to break through the high for that to happen. And then, yes, we'll expect a higher low, higher high, and a pretty clean trend, hopefully back to the all-time highs, which is at 6,098 roughly, and so on and so forth. So it does look like the indices are shifting bullish. We've seen evidence of that happening. Support down here is held very, very well, minus the fake out, of course. But now if we do take out structure, that definitely puts me bullish there for the indices, and I'll be expecting a lot more upside. In terms of US 30, I believe this one has broke through the highs, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, it has. It has gone and broke through the highs here. So I think US 30 looks the best, although this one's got a long, long way to go to get back to the all-time highs, which is all the way up there at 45K. I think this one looks the best just because it has taken out that bearish structure. This was the last lower high, which gave us the low there. Price is now since broken through that. So looking for basically a pullback now of this bullish leg is basically the plan there for US 30. I do like this area here of resistance. It would be great if you could tag the 50 as well. So pull back, tag the 50, and Bob's your uncle. You got a nice opportunity there. And of course, in terms of the risk reward, it could be very, very nice in terms of holding it all the way back to the high there at 45K. Or we could be looking at some intraday opportunities, which is something a bit more like this, because of course we did break structure here, but we have left behind some more lower time frame structure. There's a jump on the hourly chart. You got this high low here, which gave us the high there. Could see price have a bit of a correction back into this area, bounce, and there you go. You've got a nice bullish setup there as well, around 43,300. So that looks like a nice trade idea as well, something a bit more intraday friendly. And if we have a slightly bigger pullback, we do have that zone there to look at as well. But from intraday perspective, things look good. Lovely momentum there, breaking the high. So again, looking for a pullback, a retest that area looks good, and you can probably find some nice entries on the hourly chart or 30 or 50-minute chart, take it at least back to the high, and maybe even further as well. So very, very bullish there on US 30. US 30's broken the high, so it's, I'm categorically bullish with this one. NAS and S&P look like they're on their way to doing that, so I'm leaning towards the bullish bias, but not quite seeing the confirmations for that yet. And especially with US 30 as well, we've got a long way to go to get back to the all-time highs. So this one's got a pretty good risk reward opportunity in it if you were looking for a big swing trade, whereas NAS and US 30, you probably want to scale to the lower time frames if you really want to take advantage of these opportunities. Because if you are waiting for the high to break, you don't have too much distance between that break of structure and the all-time high. Same with NAS as well. So you probably want to drop right down to the lower time frames, like hourly and below, if you want to maximize your risk reward from that perspective. But yeah, NAS looks like it's going to continue as well. In terms of the DAX, what are we doing? Would you look at that? I didn't see that happen. Last time I looked at the DAX was probably around here. I didn't take a look at the DAX on Thursday or Friday. It's not really a market that I follow, but I sometimes look at it during the streams. But yeah, really nice move to the upside. Looks like that break and retest has played out to a T. That's like your textbook break and retest. Not every break and retest will look like it's from a textbook, but this one really is really nice pullback retest, and it flew. And then, yeah, you'll be looking at more of the same really now. Lovely break to the upside, a lot of momentum. Again, looking for another pullback of the DAX. You got a clean high there for a trade. Pretty much the same pattern we did over there. You're looking for it to repeat again and looking for the next wave. So, yeah, the DAX looks very, very bullish to me. I do expect to see a lot more upside for the DAX here. And the key thing to take away as well is that we're seeing healthy momentum on these breakouts. It's not like price is doing it correctively. We're seeing really healthy momentum. So that tells me that more upside is still likely to follow. Yeah, I do like the price action here with the DAX. Trev, what's the best time frame to read markets? I do like the 15 and the hour thoughts. Read markets. I think generally speaking, I'll probably say the daily chart or maybe the 4-hour chart, but probably the daily because it's a bit more significant in terms of the price action. One day, one candle represents one day, which encompasses all the news and every kind of major session is all encompassed within a daily candle. So I like the day. I think in terms of just clean price action, in terms of stable price action, and kind of just looking at the bigger picture, I think the daily candle and the daily chart probably the best for it. If you're talking about entries, well, it depends. It depends. I enter on the 4-hour time frame. I used to enter on the hourly time frame, which again works very, very well too. Any time frame could be a really good time frame to enter as long as you know what you're doing, really. But just in terms of reading price action, I'd probably say the daily chart. Brian, good morning. I hope you're doing well. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay, of course. Yeah, if you're going to be looking at the daily chart to plan your trades and look for setups, of course, you're going to have to be a lot more patient. But a lot of people who have a lot of other commitments, say they've got full-time employment, which requires a lot of their time. Some people would look at the higher time frames then because they know, okay, during the day I don't really have any time to actually trade or look at the chart. So when I get back from work is when I have the time to look at markets, and then I can enter trades and exit trades on the daily time frame. And of course, if you've got a bit more money in your account, you can afford to do that as well. But yeah, every time frame provides good information. You just have to be aware of what you're doing. If you're on the intraday time frames, you have to be aware of sessions 100%. Taking trades out of session versus in session is a completely different thing. So you just have to be aware of that and how you look to tackle that. If you're trading on the higher time frame, you don't really have to take into consideration sessions at all, really. News is a little bit less of a problem as well because you have bigger stop losses and and you'll be relatively safe. But of course, you got to factor in patience. You could take 3 months, 2 months for a trade to play out. Do you have the patience to sit through that? Or wait, potentially a month just for a break even, or a month just for a loss? Do you have the patience for that? Um, most people probably don't, as well. So there's pros and cons of everything, really. Been scoping the 5 minutes. To be honest, I'm not keen. Yeah, yeah. I mean, everyone will have their preference. For me, I'm not really a big fan of the lower time frames. Not because I don't think it's not good or anything. It's just my preference as me, myself, and I as a trader. I just prefer to be everything to be a little bit slower pace. I enter on the 4 hour chart. I think that's a really good time horizon for me. It's not too fast, not too slow. Hourly chart as well. I do like the hourly too. Not too fast, not too slow as well. But I wouldn't personally go lower than the hourly just because it's a bit too fast paced for me. But again, that's just my preference, really. I think that's where traders fail waiting. Yeah, yeah. A lot of traders want to, get their profits as fast as possible. And of course, why would you trade the 4 hour chart or the daily chart when you could trade the 1 minute time frame and get your profits, like that? So of course, it does attract people a lot to lower time frames. And again, nothing wrong for low time frames, but you just got to know what you're doing with it and know the cons and the drawbacks with trading that as well, because you can make money quickly, but you can always lose money just as quick, if not quicker. So need to take that into consideration as well. Um, Manzondi, affect the US open and close today. Yeah, I probably expect to see a bit of a reaction. As to what will happen, I have no idea. I'm kind of just waiting to see, how price will react. I think we'll probably see a bit of movement. Um, but yeah, in terms of whether price is going to be bullish or bearish for USD, I'm not too sure. Again, from a technical standpoint, I do expect to see some USD weakness. I think we're due a bit of retracement, but we'll see what Trump has to do with that. To be honest, it's probably time to start following Trump on Twitter again. By the way, guys, if you are enjoying the stream, please be sure to hit the like button and subscribe. It does really help out. Appreciate everyone who has liked the stream and subscribed so far. It does really help out. And I do appreciate that, guys. And of course, hit the bell as well so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads in the future. I've just got some goal lines and puts on the 5 minute, but we are all different traders, of course. Of course, again, I think one of the worst things to do as a trader is compare yourself to someone else. It really is the worst thing to do because most people will only show their wins. So by default, you're only gonna be comparing yourself to the wins of another trader. So by default, you're just going to put yourself on the back foot because you'll experience every single losing trade you'll take, but you won't experience every single losing trade another trader takes as well. And of course, other traders got different account sizes, they've got different commitments, different finances. There's so many different things to consider. Different goals as well. Some people want to be very aggressive. Some people just want to do trading as a more of a side thing, more of a long term thing. So the worst thing to do is compare yourself to another trader. Really, of course, you can take ideas and tips and stuff, but you don't want to compare yourself because you never win with that. Okay, so I'll start going through some of the crosses. So we already went through your Aussie, USD. Actually, let me go through some CAD pairs. Euro CAD started off very bullish today, didn't we? Yeah, Euro CAD's flying. I think Euro is pretty strong. How is Euro Yen doing? Keep an eye on that one because I'm looking for entries and we're not too far away from my level. Okay, so we're coming into that area. So yeah, if we can see a bit more upside, I'll be looking for entries around here. And yeah, maybe a trade later today. If not, maybe tomorrow. That's of course if we don't break through. But looking at Euro Yen closely, and I'm also looking at Swiss Yen as well. This one's nowhere near it, so that one's probably at least a day or two away. But yeah, Euro yen, keep a close eye on that. But yeah, Euro CAD looking very, very bullish, and interesting to see what will happen next with this one. Because really, with Euro CAD, the way I see it is that this market is extremely, extremely flat, and I don't really want to do anything with it, to be honest. I'm looking at this one, equal highs over there, equal lows back down here. And to me, the market just looks extremely flat. And again, I know the conditions of what I want to see before I take a trade. And I want to see healthy structure, whether bullish or bearish, doesn't really matter. But I just want to see market give me some lower lows and lower highs, something where I can plan a trade, plan a swing high, plan a swing low, and take trades off the back of that. But these conditions are not that. This is a very flat market, equal highs, equal lows. I know there was a slight kind of trend here, but in reality, nothing really impressive. So yeah, Eurocad seeing a lot of bullish momentum. Maybe we're going to push back to the high now. Um, I'm not really seeing an opportunity that fits my plan there. So the analysis for myself is pretty straightforward. It's just move on, wait for it to improve, but nothing there at the moment. Pound CAD, though, which is a similar pair to EuroCAD, is actually a pair which I'm starting to look a lot more into because we do have this bullish trend here, which looks like it's on its last legs. We have equal highs back here. As you can see, we tested the high once, second time there, third time, fourth, if you want to include that wick there as well. But essentially, the market's had a few attempts to try and break through this level, and it has failed. And now it looks like we just about pinched the low there as well. So to me, it looks like this trend is running out of steam, as well as really heavy pullbacks as well. Not really what you want to see. A healthy trend should give you impulsive moves to the upside, corrective moves back down, impulsive, corrective, impulsive, so on and so forth. Of course, it doesn't have to be that exactly, but more or less, that's what you want to see. But you can see prices becoming a bit more corrective, fell at the highs a few times, and now it's starting to break the lows as well and giving you impulsive pullbacks. So I am starting to look for some lower highs now for pound CAD. Something like this will look to get me into the market, maybe to come back and retest the low. So pound CAD still probably not an opportunity which I'll consider this week. It's probably going to take a while for it to actually develop and fit my plan and my criteria. But it's a market that is trending, which is a big tick, and that is something I'm definitely looking for. And if we can start to trend in the opposite direction, I'll be all over that in terms of some shorts. I do think we can come back and retest some of these levels around here and probably further. This trend has actually been going on for quite a long time. Since the wick low here, which was back in September 2022, we've been trending to the upside. So I do think we're due a bit of a pullback pretty soon. In terms of Aussie CAD and New Zealand CAD, these pairs I'm still pretty bearish on, still looking at for a lot more downside. What is up, No Man? Yes, I'll take a look at US 30. Let me just go through Aussie CAD and New Zealand CAD, and I'll go through US 30 for you. But yeah, Aussie CAD, I'm still pretty bearish on. I do think in the long run, this guy is going to come back to the lows here, which is at 0.86 roughly. I do think that's where price is headed towards. It looks to me that price has put another lower high in, one over there, kind of dual lower highs there together. It looks like we formed another one there as well. And I do think there's a good chance we'll probably come back into support. If I drop to lower time frames like the daily chart, you can see that we have broken through this ascending channel here. So that's a big sign to me that, okay, this bullish trend is no more and likely going to continue lower. So the plan is to look for more lower highs and more shorting opportunities. I have mentioned this descending channel here. If I connect the lower highs up, you can see, and the low lows, of course, you can see we do have this bearish channel here and a nice opportunity should price push back into the high of the channel. I do think this is a great place to be looking for some shorts and another continuation back into the low, and hopefully a lot further as well if momentum picks up. The only thing I don't like about Aussie CAD is that we've been so corrective. The market looks very dry. It looks like it's needs a drink. It just looks so tired. You know, this is not a healthy trend, but it has persisted for quite a while. We've seen numerous lower highs here, So in my book, there's a pretty good chance that we'll probably see another one and another push down. So I do like that area of confluence. And naturally, if we can get a reaction there, I would fancy us to get back to the low here. And then we can talk about that longer term target on the daily/weekly chart. In terms of New Zealand CAD, pretty much the same thing as well. Still very corrective, but it looks like this one's giving us a bit of a pullback. I still expect New Zealand CAD to head to the downside a little bit further. I do have a big daily support level just underneath us, which I think we just missed. Yep, we didn't quite test that level at 0.79750. So in my book, we still got a little bit more downside to go to come back and test that support. Similar situation with Aussie CAD in terms of this ascending channel has broken. So you can see connecting these higher lows, one over there, second over there, third over there. Looked like at one point we can get the fourth. We didn't. Price broke through. So again, expecting us to come back to the origin of the trend line, which is this low here, and probably further as well, but we'll save that story for another day. So again, with New Zealand CAD, ever since we had the break of the trend line, I'll be looking for a deeper pullback, which you just haven't quite seen. And if I do exactly what I did with New Zealand, with Aussie CAD, and draw out this channel here, you can see I've been looking for a deeper correction into that area. Retest this brief consolidation there as well. You can see a lot of momentum came from that area. And since then, the market's been very, very corrective. To me, it looks like maybe New Zealand CAD is having a bigger pullback right now. Hopefully you can test that level, find some shorts, find the next lower high. We had one over there, which you guys can't see. There you go, one over there. Second there, third there. Hopefully you can get the fourth. And then the swing back into the low over there. So really nice opportunity there for New Zealand CAD and Aussie CAD. Both of them really together. I would expect both to do the same thing. Really, they're similar markets, so there's no real point to trade them both. They'll either both play out or both fail, most likely. So you just need to pick the better one, better risk reward, or better entry. In that kind of regard, and trade that one. So yeah, that is the plan there. I prefer New Zealand CAD, so that's the one I'm more focused on. But it looks like we still got at least a couple days left before we do pull back into that area for some shorts. And there is a situation, there is a chance that we are putting lower highs in here, and price might be looking to sell off from here as well. Not really something that fits the plan I'm looking for. I want to see that deeper correction. We're definitely due that. If I whip out the fib from the high to the low, you can see we've got the 50, 0.618 in that area there. And that's really where I want to be taking my short. So naturally, I want to be looking for a deep pullback anyway. A pullback to that area is not quite going to cut it for me. Doesn't mean price can't sell off from there. It's just that's not an area which I'll be looking to take trades in myself. So yeah, that's really where I'm at with the CAD pairs. I'll quickly go take a look at US 30 for Nomad. So yeah, US 30 looks very bullish to me. We have broken structure. This was our last lower high, which gave us this leg to the downside, which of course broke through the lows here because we actually did break structure a couple of weeks back or 3 weeks back. This was our last low, which gave us this higher high. Then we went and broke structure, formed a lower low, formed a lower high, and then formed another lower low. But since that low is formed, prices ripped to the upside and actually gone and broken through the high there again. So it looks like the market's had its deeper correction already, and then now might be ready to start to see some more upside again. So with US 30, I am favoring price to push back to the all-time highs again, since we're now breaking structure to the upside, breaking through that high there. And there's two setups that I have mentioned here. Number one, we might get a slightly deeper correction, which is coming back to retest the high there. Not quite lining up with the 50, so hopefully we might spike into the 50, or maybe price does push on a little bit further, then we get the pullback. But I would want to see that fib confluence with that position as well. But essentially looking for a pullback of this move for a higher low, for price to keep pushing back up again, back into the all-time highs, or something a bit more intraday, which still looks like a good opportunity as well. Again, looking at this more intraday price action with the low, high, higher low, higher high, higher low, and of course our most recent higher high there as well. There is a lovely level of resistance here, which will be turned support, which of course lines up with the high there too. If price was to pull back into that area, I think that would be a great place to look to buy the market from an intraday level. and find your entries there. And of course, at least trade it back to the high, back to where we came from. Um, you got the all-time high all the way over there. So if you want to leave some positions to run, be my guest. I bet the risk to reward will be very, very large for that. But I do think there's a good chance US 30 does get back there. So it's actually not such a stupid idea. Trying to hold US 30 back to the all-time highs when you've at least you got some signs that US 30 might be making that move. So yeah, keep an eye on both those opportunities. Depends what you're looking for. If you're an intraday trader, you're probably more looking at that second opportunity there. If you're looking for a bit more of a swing, kind of waiting for price to have that deeper correction, pull back of that bullish move there, wait for price to find its feet again, and then hopefully we can swing it back to the highs. But yeah, US 30 to me, looking very, very bullish here. In terms of some of the crosses, so we had a look at Euro Aussie, Euro NZD. Let me go take a look at Pound Aussie and Pound NZD. So with these currency pairs, I'm actually looking for some buying opportunities, more so for Pound Aussie, but I do like what I'm seeing. We've got some really confident bullish structure, high low there, kind of a joint high low there, double bottom, another high low there as well, another high low there. And again, I'm looking for the same pattern to continue, but I do want to see price come a little bit further to the downside. I'm looking for the retest of the high there for potentially the next higher low. And the beauty of it all is if I do get that bounce that I'm looking for at this area, I'm not necessarily looking for price to push all the way back to the high there. It would be great if it does. I'll be trading stops to see if I can catch that move. But because I'll be trading stops, even if price moves halfway up to that area or even a third of the way, I can still walk away with a decent profit because I'll just be letting the price do its thing. All my plan is taking buys and sells from areas where price can potentially continue a trend. Whether it does continue or not is not up to me, it's up to the market. But if I can position myself time and time again in areas where price has the possibility, a good possibility as well, of continuing a trend, then as long as I keep my risk reward pretty healthy, it's just about letting the market do its thing and play out. Some will be losers, some will be winners, some will be break evens. But if you do have a decent risk reward, your winners will, account for your losses and then some. And that's really the plan there with trend continuation. So looking for a bounce of this area here for some buys, and we'll see if we do get that follow through. Not quite there yet, but I like how price is moving. It's becoming a little bit more corrective. It looks like it's running out of steam a little bit. So if I can see some opportunities for some longs at this area, maybe a nice double bottom, I'll look for some entries, and yeah, we'll see how far price can take us. Maybe back to the high, maybe halfway, and then we reverse. But at least I know in an area where there's a good chance for a bounce. Doesn't mean we will bounce, but I'm just saying there's a good chance for it if we are going to continue with these higher lows. And of course, if I move over to Pound NZD, it's the same situation there as well. Really nice, consistent higher highs and higher lows. If I map them out, one over there, second over there, third over there, fourth with that kind of double bottom, fifth, and again, looking at potential number 6. I'm looking for price to come back and retest the high here as well. See that next higher low. You can see we've got the higher lows there, stacking one on top of the other. I'm looking to see if we can come into this area, bounce, and again, see a reaction, potentially a push back to the that's not the all-time high there. Potentially a push back to the high there. Or again, if we sell off from somewhere, I'll be trading stops as well to manage my risk. But that's my area of confluence, and that's where I'll be keen to find some entries. But to be honest, I do think Pound NZD and Pound Aussie in the long run probably will have some pretty big moves to the downside, because I'm looking at price action on the weekly chart, and this to me just looks like a really big correction. Let me do that with the line tool because I cannot draw. So yeah, this to me looks like a big correction of that drop there. And now that we have taken out the COVID highs here on the left, I wonder, is this a high for price to now have that bigger pullback? So I'm thinking that potentially could be the bigger move there for Pound NZD. Of course, that could take a while to play out. So I'm not necessarily concerned about that just yet until we start breaking through some of the structure here on the daily chart. Then yeah, we can start speaking a bit more about that. But that's kind of the reason why I'm not necessarily expecting my positions to take me back to the high, because I do think we'll probably have a bounce, maybe form a lower high, maybe come back, respect the high there, and maybe we might push down further. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. For now, just waiting for price to get there first and see how we react for some longs. What's up, Miguel? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. Yes, I have looked at GU, but I can go through it quickly for you. That will be no problem. No man, happy to help. Shout out to you as well. Appreciate it. So yeah, pound USD, as I said, I do like the bearish structure. Market still giving us lower lows and lower highs. We've been very, very consistent with it. So my plan for pound USD is to find the next one. I've marked out two areas where shorts look good. Retest the low here at 1.235, or the retest the low there at 1.25. It just depends how bullish or bearish pound USD will be, how big of a pullback we do get. But the idea is to find that next lower high and keep shorting. And of course, expect it to come back into the low. The reason why I'm so bearish on pound USD is because we have broken through this ascending channel here, this ascending trend line. Market's been making higher highs and higher lows on the way up. And we have since broken through that. And we did it with some decent momentum. It's not like price correctively broke through it. Pound was very weak at the time, and we saw a lot of momentum below this. So we have taken out this low. So the next low I'm expecting pound USD to get to is now this low here as well. So I do expect more downside and eventually back down to this area here as well, which you guys just about can see. So that presents to me a very bearish outlook on pound. And my plan is, can I find lower highs on the way down to take advantage of that bias and keep shorting until we break structure? It keeps me bearish. So yeah, looking at shorts at these two levels, let's hope to see price can actually get there this week. I'm looking for the DXY to retrace. So hopefully pound USD will push up. And I think pound in general needs to see some upside because it's been so bearish the past couple of weeks, 3 weeks. It probably does need a pullback itself anyway. But yeah, hopefully we can see some upside there for pound and then short it back down again. Will, okay, take care, my man. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate it. Have a good day. We'll catch you tomorrow. Don't forget to like and sub. Appreciate it. Yeah, guys, if you are enjoying the stream, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel. It does really help out. I appreciate everyone who has done so already. And yeah, hit the bell whilst you're at it to not miss out on any uploads. Miguel, you won't look for the reversal? No, that's not really my trade. I'm looking for mostly continuation. Sometimes I will go through counter trend moves, but not that type of move. No. Yeah, I mostly prefer looking for continuation of trends, following trends rather than going against them. Like I said, sometimes I will, but I need a lot more confluence, and pound USD right now is not giving me that. So yeah, more focus on the shorts. Ping 1 through, yeah, we'll go through some CHF pairs actually. I did close my Euro CHF trade. Price did end up breaking through that level of resistance, so I did close the position. This is the level of resistance I was shorting from, but then this morning price closed above there, so I exited the trade. My original stop loss was above the high here, so end up losing about half the risk that I originally put up just because I exited the trade early. But should price get back below the level again, I will look to enter. On the daily chart, the market has been very, very consistent for all these wicks to the upside. So that's what's kept me holding the position. But of course, today is looking very, very bullish. And of course, on the 4-hour time frame, we're looking bullish as well. So unless that momentum reverses by the end of the day and we leave another big wick on the daily chart, I mean, close below, then I'll look to get back into a trade. But right now, looks like price is breaking through the resistance pretty well. And if price breaks through the high here, that will then change my bias because this is the last lower high, which gave us that low there. So in terms of me being bearish, we do need to stay respecting this high. If not, if we take it out, then I will have to change that bias. Not necessarily long term, because in my book, long term we're still very bearish. We still got these major lower highs on the daily chart here, one over there, second there. So if we do break structure, I just do think price will form a bit of an uptrend, back into, let's say, an area like this roughly, before we do turn back around again and see another high form. So it would be bullish from here to about there. And then if things look good again, I'll be bearish again on looking for a big swing. But yeah, at the moment, it looks like Euro CHF has seen some upside. I think CHF is a little bit weak, but I think Euro is just very strong. Every Euro pair I've looked at so far today has been flying. I mean, maybe not Euro USD. It's looking a little bit bullish. I wouldn't say it's flying, but it's looking a little bit bullish. But Euro CAD's on the up, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Euro CAD's looking strong. Euro Yen's looking pretty strong as well. Yep, looking pretty strong too. Euro Aussie, that has seen some upside. I wouldn't say it's flying either, but it's up on the day. And same with Euro NZD. I'm pretty sure Euro Pounds as well is pushing pretty hard, which you haven't looked at yet. Did have a strong candle close, last 4 hour candle. But yeah, I think Euro is a little bit strong. I think CHF is a little bit weak. So we're seeing that kind of contrast in all its glory at the moment. But yeah, very, very strong push, closing above the level. It looks like we'll probably push back into the high there, 0.944. If we respect it, there could be some more sales. If we break through, then at that point, I'll be looking at something like this to happen with Euro CHF, a pullback, and another higher low. So that will be my take there with Euro CHF. But let me go through some other CHF pairs to see how they're doing. Pound CHF, this is a pair which I'm interested in, but we need to break out of this consolidation. My word, we are taking our sweet time. So yeah, I'm still looking for the shorts for this one. I'm looking for us to come back all the way into the low here. My thinking is that we've had a high over here, we've created a low, markets for another lower high, really strong move to the downside, creating a new low. So my idea is I'm expecting another lower high in relation to those two previous highs for another swing, at least back into the low, but again, potentially further as well. So the way I'm looking to trade that is simply waiting for price to break out of this range here and then look for some lower highs or a retest of the range. Doesn't have to be the retest of the range. Sometimes, especially in a big range like this, price will break out. And because there's so much momentum, we don't even come back to retest the range. So even if I do get a retest of a low further down, that is still a good opportunity for myself. As long as it fits the plan, I'm all over it. And again, looking for a push back to the low will be the plan there. But yeah, at the moment we haven't broken out of the range, so that's not hasn't got the green light yet. And at the moment, we're actually doing a pretty good job at respecting the low. So if you're looking to trade a bit of a range play, in fact, I would say that pound CHF might be a better buy than pound USD, because pound CHF, number one, is trading at a really significant level of support. And number two, is actually showing a lot of rejection at that area. It's not like prices just come back to test it once. We've seen 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 really big rejections of this area, and a lot of wicks as well. So pound CHF actually has a good opportunity to reverse. Whether it will see the full swing back to the top of the range, that's a different question. But I would say at least the push to the 50% of the range looks pretty likely. So if I get the fib out, again, this is a rough 50. It's not bang on the money, but more or less the 50 of the range is about there. You've got a good chance to swing this trade from here back to the 50. Maybe it comes back down again. Maybe it breaks through to the top. But if you can look to secure gains here, put your stop loss to break even, let the market do its thing. Maybe it does come back down against you. Maybe it continues. You're not to know until it's done and dusted. But yeah, I would say pound CHF looks like a decent buy. If you're looking for a bit of mean reversion range play, this is as good as it gets, really. If it does break out, then great. I'll be expecting a lot of momentum to the downside, and then the plan will be looking for the retest of the range or a retest of a low somewhere to ride this down to the daily, weekly swing lows down there. So that's really what I'm looking for On pound CHF, if we take a look at Aussie CHF, I'm pretty sure this one's pretty flat. So yeah, this one's still respecting that daily level of support. So I'm not interested in this one just yet. I'm actually pretty bearish on Aussie CHF, still looking for a push back to the this is not the all-time low. The all-time low is slightly to the left, actually. It's over here. So that's the all-time low there for Aussie CHF. I do think eventually price will get there. However, yeah, we need to be below that level of support. If not, we could very much bounce and see another big swing because it has been a very sturdy level of support for Aussie CHF for a while. But if it does break, then I think there's a pretty clean move back to the low there. There's not a lot of support in our way. And if we break through that, I think the sellers are really in control of the market. And we're just going to see the price keep falling. So need to wait for price to break that support level. And now we'll be looking for shorts again. New Zealand CHF, this one has been kind of all over the place. Again, I am looking for another lower high to form here. Looks like it's slowly taking its time, but structure is still holding up pretty well. You can see we've got prior highs here, 1, 2, 3. Looks like number 4 there as well. I do fancy another drop there for New Zealand CHF, but it looks like CHF has to become a little bit stronger. Otherwise, this might consolidate a little bit more, but I do fancy another swing to the downside. I actually would have been trading New Zealand CHF, but I was trading Euro instead. They both move sideways, really. But yeah, I do expect to see another swing back to the low and then eventually back to the all-time low there as well, unless we break structure, which would be taking out this high here. But we haven't done that yet, so it's still pretty bearish. So yeah, as for the main markets I'm looking to trade this week, I would say the main 6 pairs I'm looking at, maybe 7. The main 7 pairs I'm looking at is Euro Yen shorts. So looking for the retest of this area for a lower high than a short. This is in my area at the moment, so I'm actively looking for entries on the 4-hour chart. At the moment, we're still bullish, no sign of rejection yet, so nothing yet, but definitely we'll have to keep an eye throughout the day. Swiss yen, which is pretty much the same structure as Euro yen. But again, just going to see which one gives me the better opportunity. I'm not really looking to trade them both, but if maybe Swiss yen looks a little bit better, I'll trade that one or vice versa. But again, same structure, looking for another test of this area for some shorts. This one's not quite at my area yet. So I'm more focused on Euro yen because a signal could happen very soon. But once we get there, I'll focus a bit more on Swiss yen, but this is on the watch list. And then I'm also looking at the CAD pairs, New Zealand CAD and Aussie CAD, looking for lower highs in those areas for some shorts. So again, just a continuation of this bearish structure, 1, 2, 3, looking for number 4, another swing to the low. Pretty simple stuff. Aussie CAD, same thing as well. Pretty much the same opportunity as New Zealand CAD, but looking for the continuation of these lower highs. And again, if I can find an entry, it looks good. I'm not looking to trade both of them. Just going to see which one's the better one. In fact, I'm more leaning towards New Zealand CAD anyway, but maybe Aussie CAD gives me a better entry, so I might trade that one instead, but we'll see. So yeah, Euro yen shorts, Swiss yen shorts, Aussie CAD, New Zealand CAD. And the other two will be pound NZD and pound Aussie. I like these guys for the longs. Again, as I spoke briefly on the daily chart, many higher lows stacked to the upside here. My goal is just to try and see if I can catch the next one, even if it doesn't take us all the way to the high, even if it's just a reaction. I know I can make at least a small profit on that move. And if it is a big one, then of course, great stuff as well. But I'm looking for a bounce at this area for pound NZD. Pound Aussie, same thing as well. Pretty much the same trade. Again, not looking to trade them both because they'll probably do the same thing. Just going to see which one gives me the better entry. But it's nice to see that these similar markets are in sync and doing the same thing. It's almost like a confluence when that happens. Again, numerous higher lows. Looking to see if I can catch the next one. Looking for a bounce at this level. And hopefully you can catch a bounce there. Not too far away, so have to keep a close eye. And then lastly, pound USD shorts as well. I really like pound USD. Is my favorite USD pair at the moment is the cleanest one, mainly because all that momentum we had a couple of weeks back with pound weakness, looking for a lower high at 1.235 or 1.25 should we have a bigger pullback than expected, but it's still bearish, still looking at shorts as well. So Euro yen shorts, Swiss yen shorts, Aussie CAD shorts, New Zealand CAD shorts, pound USD shorts, and longs of pound NZD and pound Aussie. Those are really the pairs I'm looking at. There's some other pairs that look okay, but they need a bit more work before I really look to add them to my watch list. But yeah, guys, that does bring us to the end of the stream. I will be live again tomorrow. I'm live every day, every weekday this week, as always, from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. UK time. So if you are free, make sure you do tune in, say hi, we don't bite. I do appreciate everyone who came to the stream, tuned in, and chatted with me. And if you didn't chat, I appreciate you too as well. But chat next time, I don't bite. But yeah, guys, do appreciate you tuning in. Really do appreciate that. If you do like the stream, and subscribe to the channel as well. Hit the bell so you don't miss out any streams or uploads in the future. Check out the Elevating Trades Discord channel, completely free to join. Link to that at the top of the chat and also in the description below. You can chat with other traders, chat with myself. I share ideas of what I'm looking at. You can learn a little bit more about Elevating Traders. So if you are interested, make sure you do check it out. And we'll go through it. I haven't actually looked at the news on the stream yet, so let me actually go through that. That's a good point there, Miguel. Okay, so for today, of course, we got the Donald Trump day. So it says at 5 o'clock, but I'm pretty sure that's going to be ongoing. So we'll see what happens with that with USD. But that's pretty much today. In terms of Tuesday, pound unemployment rate, that's expected to be the same. So we'll see if that is what the verdict will be. If that comes out a little bit lower, a little bit higher, then we can see some movement for pound. CAD inflation rate as well, that's at 1:30 tomorrow. New Zealand inflation rate, 9:45 tomorrow. This is all UK time, by the way. Wednesday, JPY balance of trade, watch out for that. That's at 11:50. Thursday, jobless claims for USD and CAD. Inflation rate for JPY, keep an eye on that one for Thursday, 11:30. I mean, I should definitely keep an eye on that one because I'm looking to trade yen. And then Bank of Japan interest rate, 3 in the morning, Friday. Rates are expected to go up by 0.25. That'll be interesting as well. Hopefully I can get a trade in for the yen pairs beforehand. And if that goes in my favor, could be a pretty big move. And then we've got CAD PMI, USD PMI, sorry. Friday afternoon, retail, Michigan consumer sentiment, existing home sales, not really events that I keep an eye on, really, to be honest. So yeah, my main focus would be the Bank of Japan interest rate. Of course, seeing what happens with Trump. I mean, those are the main two, really. Of course, there are others, retail sales, inflation for CAD, unemployment rate for pound. Those would definitely move the market. But in terms of my trade specifically, because I'm trading the 4-hour chart, I've got bigger stop loss size. I'm not so concerned about those smaller ones because normally I do have enough room for it. They do move the market. So if you're on the low time frames, keep an eye on that. But the main ones I'm going to focus on, of course, is Trump and the yen. But yeah, we'll see what happens with regarding the news this week. But yeah, guys, thank you for tuning in. Like I said, check out the Elevating Traders Discord channel, completely free to join. Link to that in the description below or the top of the chat. Chat with other traders, including myself. I share ideas there. So if you're interested, check it out. Elevating Traders Discord channel, completely free to join. Like I said, guys, I'll be live again tomorrow. So if you're free, make sure you tune in, say hi, and we'll have a good time. But guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Have a great day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.